Hello, this is Kurt Brown, also known as Saint Ramball, former USN quartermaster on the USS Reed FFG-30, former FDIC bank examiner for the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, formerly an investigative journalist, freelance. I've been thinking about Psych Ops weapons lately. I was in a radioactive blast and no telling what else in 1983. Our ship was taken over, as I said. I don't think a lot of people knew it. Now, I'm not sure how many people might have been killed, but we were supposed to be refueling at sea, and we had a load of missiles on board. I don't know if they were active missiles or live missiles, I should say, but we were loaded down. We were pulling up silt, leaving town, leaving out of Long Beach Naval Station. That's how heavy we were. We almost had to get towboats to get us out of the damn docks. But the ship came up, was going to refuel. I think it was one of those weird sort of, I'm still wondering how they got that close to us. Because it come to find out it wasn't about refueling, but being jumped. I believe we were hit with Psych Ops weapons. They fired the Flying Mason Cement Vibrator Psych Ops weapon tool in 1983. I was on the bridge wing. An officer in front of me said, "Give me a 45. He turned to get away from the thing was flying at us. Someone had brought up some sort of drape to keep us from being burned by this perhaps new weapon. And then he said, "That's not a fuel line. Get me a 45. So he turned. I turned at the same time. I seem to remember him stating, "I can't pull out of it." I remember the sharp color of white, as if blacking out white. Which is what I really wanted to talk about in this video. My girlfriend told me I'd been out to sea for a month during the nuclear voyage in which I was hit. My chief petty officer, Quartermaster Marsky, had perhaps been blamed or been pointed to as possibly being involved in this mishap or whatever. Maybe some officers were told to leave the ship, but we had a skeleton crew from the next week we went out on a nuclear voyage. I was hit with a nuclear blast, and I'm not sure if we were hit with Psych Ops again. We were going out to that blast area. It seems to me there was a British tender, alleged British tender, with equipment brought up from a submarine in our path. Which brings up a good question. Was Captain Tinrad Chip telling Quartermaster Brown that the first refueling vessel was in fact a British tender with Psych Ops equipment on it? Because that was a weird looking ship now. Especially since it fired the Flying Mason's Cement Vibrator Psych Ops tool at us in 1983. Doo-dah day. I had a catheter mark inside my thigh. When I got out of the Navy, I didn't know if it was radiation, so I'd been shot in the nuts with a radioactive blast from below, a nuclear blast, which the government covered up. The people of Los Angeles and Southern California were not to know of this, but the question is, where the hell was I? I might have been somewhere else. Because after all, we ran into a British tender with equipment brought up from below, according to the captain. So, I'm going out for a month, according to my girlfriend. And it seems like the captain might have mentioned it, although I'm not certain because I did have a stroke, that I was out for a week. Now, this is an interesting scenario. When the nuclear blast went off on that night, when the captain and I were on the bridge wing, I was hit in the testicles. I was told to shower for a very long time, and there were no doctors on board. Only two men to watch me and lead me into the shower, where I could shower there for a while. I should have spent the night. When I awakened that night, my testicle area and groin was on fire. I knew I had really screwed up. But then, I'm not sure about this. After all, I've had a stroke. I remembered a nuclear blast going off, or at least intense heat, while I was in my cot resting. I awakened to extreme heat, screaming for relief. My eyes bugged out, and then I became numb and unconsciousness. When I awakened, however, there was no more burning in my testicle area. It was gone. However, I had a queasy feeling in my stomach like I was sick from radiation. Now, what happened to the burning in my testicles? Was I out for a week? Did they put me on a catheter? What all did they do to me? Were we held hostage? We had an interesting party at the end of that voyage. Perhaps it was a mock surrender. Maybe it was something else. How long was I out? Psychops could be applied against anyone. It could be applied from outer space in our era, in my mind and imagination. And if so, things could become fragmented as far as our minds. We are nothing more than unprotected shrimp. That's what one man called me, was a shrimp. I wasn't supposed to hear anything on the USS Reed FFG 30. The shrimp can hear, the shrimps can see, except for the ones that have been coated in oil. Let me see here. Strokes. I've been diagnosed with a stroke. I may die soon. One doctor told me in one location, you could have a sex change, you get a name change and a relocation. Hoo-dah! Uncle Sam said this is going to be an adventure there, Pops. Hey, Dad, nobody drinking in the back seat here. Not just a job, it's an adventure. Hoo yeah! Yeah, get your nuts shut off and get hit in the head 3 times so you have a stroke. Man, oh man. King David came to me in a dream and we were discussing radiation. King David said, it's too bad they don't know what we know about radiation and those germs. It's too bad we don't know. No, it's too bad they don't know what we know about radiation and those germs. That's how King David put it. I don't want to get it right if I'm going to quote the celestial being, terrestrial being. Which one is it? When you're half dead from a stroke, is he a terrestrial or a celestial being? Terrestrial meaning earth, celestial meaning sky. I say both. You both live and you die. How many times? Miss Florencia of Argentina, I want to make a movie with you today. We'll make babies, they'll act crazy, and they can blow St. Rambone's foes away. I like them Argentina islands there, Captain Tinrad Chip. We could go back and get them, you know. All you have to do is get some more of them missiles and redirect them. Hold the hand of those people, holding the hands of those people, holding those hands of the people who holding control of this mockery of injustice. Man, I was out for 32 years in a stroke. I'm like Rip Van Winkle. Damn, that is weird. Went to bed one day. I was in my girlfriend's house in San Pedro. We were talking, and I just passed out. I was talking like I had a gumball in the back of my head after that nuclear voyage. It felt like a sloshing bucket. I laid down, and the next morning I had blood in my nose. It happened on more than one occasion, and she said she was concerned. I should have had it checked out. That's how stupid I was back then. It's not worth the chip, baby. Stay out of the military in the modern era. Unless you got some kind of bubble helmet around you, just flying around in outer space. That's what needs to be done, you know. People are used to killing each other when they become overcrowded. Need to go to outer space, become a terrestrial, celestial being. Hopefully you don't have a stroke when you hit the wall. I had a parasitology professor when I was in medical school tell me that all things come out the same in the end. In the end, I tell you, it all comes out the same. Parasitology. Who's your parasite? Who's your host? Why are you here? Doo-dah day. It's Kurt Brown, singer and bone. I could certainly use some assistance today.